Let's listen to this.
There were some Egyptian military men that were on the ground on September 10th in Utah on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And we now need to demand that they publicly release details of who those individuals were and why they were there. This is huge, okay? In other news, Zionists are going crazy like they are every day. They really do not want us investigating Charlie Kirk's murder for some unknown reason. They want us to stop noticing that there are so many issues in the story that they're trying to sell us. And now they're up in arms demanding that Tucker Carlson gets canceled from all future Turning Point USA conferences, and you're never going to guess how they're trying to spin this. Well, you probably will guess. It's anti-Semitism. Welcome back to Candace. All right, so while I was away in Wyoming, I received a rather shocking tip. There were, as I am sure you are aware, some inexplicable flights that were happening that day. And actually, they're not even inexplicable. They could very easily be explained. It's just that the feds are kind of declining to do so. And we don't really have much information about those flights. In particular, there was one flight that had I would say, describe it as an interesting morning. It was contracted by our military. For whatever reason, this plane departed from the Biggs Army Airfield at 6:13 a.m. That's down in El Paso, Texas, right? And despite the fact that they were heading to Montana, they decided to make an unusual dip at 9:16 a.m. Again, this is in Utah time, okay? Come on, we're doing all this in mountain time. They dipped down to just 300 feet above ground over the Provo Airport runway, and they made a loop. I'm going to show you a screenshot here this is from Flight Radar, so you can see that loop. And again, this is a military plane, a military contracted plane, and we know it's military because it's leaving from a military base, okay? Really interesting thing happening there. Mark, if you want to jump on right now just to describe this for all of the women that are listening to this podcast, what we're seeing here with that chart on the bottom.
Happy to provide some mansplaining. So at the bottom, you can see the altitude and the airspeed of the plane. You see it take off, goes to level flight, and then you see it dip down in the middle there, and that's what we're looking at. The time on there says 3:16 p.m., but that's UTC. That's just the general time for airplanes. So you go back minus 6 hours to give you Utah time. So that gives us 9:16 a.m. And then it goes back up and then continues to Montana.
Okay, so it continued on to Kalispell, Montana, and then it lands for just under an hour before it again departs back for Texas. Once again, on its return trip, it dips again to just over 300 feet over the Provo Airport runway. We're going to show you that again, that this is from Flight Radar. That dip, I should tell you, because there has been a lot of speculation about it online. That took place approximately 26 minutes after Charlie was assassinated. So that dip took place 26 minutes after. And then the plane went back home, or back to the home base in El Paso. Now, it's possible, just to be fair here, that the plane was running a military training exercise that morning. Maybe they were training a new pilot on how to make a fake landing or something. I really don't know. But this flight path did indeed happen. We can confirm that. And it has been accurately reported that the plane is owned by a certain LaSalle, L-A-S-A-I LLC, regarding which there haven't been any more details provided because this has not exactly been the most transparent administration as they claimed they were going to be. The second mysterious flight, which was well reported on at the time, I would say this was the most reported upon flight, again, by the public, and which eventually created so much pressure that it warranted a response from one of the owners of the plane, who was Derek Maxfield. He's married to Shalane Maxfield. The two of them, they're a billionaire couple from Utah. They run a human sex trafficking charity. There's a lot of human sex trafficking charities in Utah. And I should let you guys know that they are not the only owners of that plane, by the way. Someone who didn't hit internet radar, who also co-owns that plane with them, is a person named Casey Baugh, B-A-U-G-H. Now, I'm mentioning Casey Baugh because I found it when I was researching interesting that Casey Baugh had his name on an institute at UVU, the Baugh Entrepreneurship Institute, which operates out of the Woodbury Business Building. Okay, I was like, whoa. When we didn't know any details, I was thinking like, hey, did this person let somebody onto the rooftop? But of course, now we know that Tyler Robinson was not on the Woodbury building or on campus at all, for that matter. So Casey Baugh is not a suspect for having provided him access in any way. But I will say that the Baugh-Maxfield plane, I'm going to take you through what that was doing. It caught a ton of attention because the plane departed from Provo, Utah at 1:20 p.m. local time. In theory, then, of course, yes, a person could have shot Charlie Kirk, went straight to the airport, and then took off on a private plane. And why this got even more attention was because they seemingly turned their transponder off. That alarmed the public. Why is this plane terminating their transponder? Why don't we know? Why can't we see more data happening on this plane, right? Being collected from this plane. So obviously, this couple, Derek and Shalane Maxfield, were feeling the heat, and they issued a statement the following day, sometime in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock on September 11th. And they said that contrary to a lot of the online conspiracies that were taking shape, the plane was actually empty when it departed Provo en route to Arizona, where he and some of his friends were picked up and they returned home to Provo, okay? Some people thought, did they pick up like Turning Point USA people and return back? We don't know at all, actually, who was on that flight manifest. In theory, it's not really our business, but of course, given this high-profile assassination, it feels like everything should be our business. Anyways, here's what he said specifically. I'm gonna read his statement in its entirety for good measure. He wrote, Shalane and I join our community, our state, and our nation in mourning the death of Charlie Kirk, and we pray for his family and loved ones during this difficult and tragic time. His death and the way that it occurred was both horrifying and senseless. We pray that the extensive efforts by law enforcement to locate Mr. Kirk's killer will be swift and successful. Spoiler alert, no, it has not been. As often happens, unfortunately, in the wake of such terrifying and public events, a variety of baseless theories and suspicions around Mr. Kirk's murder immediately took hold on social media, including one that has unfairly impacted our family. To set the record straight, we provide the following facts. Yesterday at 1:20 p.m. Mountain Time, a private aircraft owned by one of our companies with the tail number N888KG departed the Provo Airport for Page, Arizona. Pursuant to a pre-scheduled flight plan, occupants at takeoff included 2 pilots and no passengers. That tail number arrived at Page, Arizona Airport at approximately 1:55 p.m. Mountain Time. At 12:55 p.m. local time, upon arrival, I, Derek Maxfield, boarded that plane along with 7 additional passengers for the return trip to Provo. We departed that PGA Airport in Arizona at approximately 1:40 and arrived at PVU at approximately 3:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Radar services with air traffic control were terminated in mutual agreement between Denver FAA Center and N888KG, approximately 10 miles from landing at PGA, which is consistent with generally accepted standard practice when flying in and out of non-towered airports like PGA. N888KG pilots followed all FAA requirements and protocols, tower directions, and the predetermined flight plan. This round trip was made at my request and solely for my purposes. Any suggestion that the flights by N888KG yesterday are in any way connected to the tragic shooting of Mr. Kirk is inaccurate, false, and without any credible basis of any kind. To our knowledge, no one associated with yesterday's flight by N888KG has been contacted by law enforcement for any reason. And then they just say, we ask that you just focus on bringing the people, bring Charlie Kirk to justice, the murder of Charlie Kirk, finding some justice in that. Okay, so a couple of interesting things. He admits that something like the services were terminated, but in compliance with law, so they didn't break the law when they did that at all. And what I can tell you is that I had a flurry of pilots that were working on getting details on that flight manifest, confirming its landing, etc. And things got a little bit weird. They were saying that it was unusual, that the stuff that was pretty standard protocol, the feds seemed to be guarding very strange. Now, I'm not saying this to implicate Derek Maxfield or Shaileen Maxfield at all. In fact, that's why I wanted to read their statement in their entirety. But I am telling you that the feds were guarding this just like they were guarding the Dairy Queen. It was weird. Even airport personnel had been instructed to lie, actually. The situation was therefore not routine. And if you haven't caught on, I'm not really here for all of these extraordinary anomalies that just keep happening, right? Information is power. We want the information so we can dispel the rumor. I don't see any reason, by the way, Derek and Shaileen, if you want to reach out to me and tell me personally who was on the manifest, and I can just say, and I actually haven't offered you that until this moment, I would be glad to dispel all the rumors and innuendo. If the feds are telling the airport to lie for some reason, there was one person who said they were supposed to land at Millionaire FBO, but then suddenly they shifted to another FBO and things were weird. I would be happy to clear up everything for you in a way that makes sense, and it could genuinely be because the government is so inefficient. Major point that I want to make here is that the biggest anomaly that has happened is I don't understand. Kash Patel, tell us about this flight. Tell us who was on it, okay? I wanted to be very thorough here in presenting this information, so I was like, let's actually upgrade our flight radar account so we can go back 3 years on this plane's flight history, which is really the max setting that you can have on flight radar if you get a business account. And here is what we pulled together for you guys so that you don't have to pay for a business account, which is way too expensive, especially for me who doesn't actually use flight radar often, but I am doing whatever I can to solve the murder of Charlie Kirk. Here it is. 3 years, you can see November in 2022, we can go back as far as November and December of that year. We can see that it routinely flies through Paris. And I noticed, and you can take your time to freeze this and go through everything, because I'm not going to read it all. I noticed that the trend here is that it always flies to an Air Force base, okay? Look in 2025. If you look under 2025, you will see this is what it did. It went from September 4th, it went from Cairo to Paris to France to Minot, North Dakota. On September 10th, it departed Provo. I think I'm missing one here, right? It departed, that's right, September 10th, it departed Provo, Utah at 7:14 a.m. local time, okay? And I am telling you that aboard that plane, it was not the same people that got onto that plane. Okay, that is what I am told by this individual. She is saying that what actually took place was that they had some Egyptian military subcontractors person that she knows intimately. I would not have taken this to the bank. I had to really walk her through having the courage to do this any further. And I am certain that this happened. And I am certain, I feel like the rest of us feel, that we are not getting a full picture. Now, I will again stress that this individual never, ever said that the mission, the secret mission, was related to Charlie Kirk. In fact, they were explicit that they weren't entirely sure what the specific mission was, but that it was top secret. Maybe playing devil's advocate, right? And to be clear, when you play devil's advocate, you're advocating for the devil. That's what I'm actually kind of doing here. But maybe it was a joint military exercise of some description that was so discreet that it required just everybody to ignore it, for the military to boost a random account to pretend that it was nothing, to lie and pretend that this plane was here because it needed to be serviced in some capacity. That's not true.
This military base, this military jet. For previous years, this jet has been flying from Egypt through Paris to America. But the difference is, this plane always goes to cities with a military base. But few days to assassination of Charlie Kirk, this plane landed near UVU. And we know that near UVU we don't have a military base. The question is, why? And Candace Owens gives a very good history about this plane. And he questions, why is it that the moment he touched about this plane, this mysterious plane, everyone, the pro-Israel, the pro-government, everyone got mad about this plane. And they even lied. And when the government starts lying to you, you question the motive. And the motive is, if you look at the whole saga regarding Charlie Kirk assassination, it's very clear that the government is not interested in telling the truth. The government seems to keep lying to us. The question is, why? Why is the government feeding us lies and fueling conspiracies? And yesterday, we got news that our friend, our FBI boss, Kash Patel, is not happy. Why? He is not happy because his junior or deputy did investigate whether any foreign government may have been involved in assassination of Charlie Kirk or helped this guy who is claimed to have killed Charlie Kirk. And the FBI boss is not happy. The question is, if you want justice for Charlie Kirk, why are you not happy when your junior is investigating whether there's a foreign government involved? This does not sound like a good news to us, because when you see this, you need to question why is the government not happy when you're trying to investigate if there was a foreign government involved? Does this sound like people are looking for justice? Also, TPUSA, you see, every time they try to defend the official narrative, they looks bad always. They always giving us lies. You may want to call Candace Owens names, but the question is, are you questioning the fake narrative the FBI is giving us? Because, Moso, are you trying to prove that Candace is lying? Are you giving us different opinions? No. The question is, why? When you see this, things do not happen in coincidence, especially security matters. They are well planned. And I will tell you this. You can attack Candace, you can call her names. But the question is, please give us evidence to prove that Candace is lying to us. Simple and clear. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I'm your host, James. Let's meet in the next video. Remember to share and subscribe.